Still, step into the space where the roots run deep, where the sun meets the soil and the stories speak. Every leaf, every bloom got a tale to tell, from the lows in the dirt to the highs that swell. This is Grow House, yeah, we flourish and thrive, planting seeds of change, keeping dreams alive. It's more than just green, it's the life we create, breaking through the cracks, let's elevate. Grow strong, grow tall, grow now, grow all. Grow strong, grow tall, grow now, grow all. Grow strong, grow tall, grow now, grow all. Welcome to Grow House, we grow, we grow. Grow strong, grow tall, grow now, grow all. Grow strong, grow tall, grow now, grow all. Grow strong, grow tall, grow now, grow all. Welcome to Grow House. We grow, we grow.
Hi, welcome everyone to Grow House. I'm Veronica with Ivy Plants. I am so excited to have you guys here and to be, here and talking to you guys live and everywhere pretty much. But yeah, I wanted to just do a little intro on what we're going to be doing here at the Grow House. So we will definitely be having guests and we will be interviewing them, learning about the industry, hearing some really warm, heartfelt stories about how they got into plants or what they've learned through the process of having their own business, as well as going back to the start of everything and, going through the growing, what is a plant, what is all of the parts of a plant, what plants are great in, in your house, in your enclosures for your reptiles, for your aquariums, all sorts of stuff like that. So definitely drop some questions down below so I can work on where you guys are at and how I can help you through that process. Again, I am so excited. This is definitely a new venture for me and I can't wait. And big props to everyone in Herp Collectors Network. They've been really amazing, so helpful, and big shout out to Mike for producing and just being great. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and hop in, and we have the one and only Royal Roots Plant Co. Shannon. I'm so excited for you guys to meet her. She's amazing. I've been able to watch her grow in the last year incredibly. And so we are going to learn a little bit more today, what we do, what she does in the industry and how she's gotten here. So you guys welcome Shannon.
Hello.
Hi, Shannon, my love. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited for tonight. I know we're both a little nervous, but we don't have to be. We're just going to go around, have some questions for you, learn a little bit more about you, what you provide in the industry, some things that got you to where you are, and then what you've learned and a little bit more about yourself. So I'm very excited. Hey there, guys. Thank you for joining. So we're going to go right off the bat. And I want to know a little bit about the trends that you picked up on the last year and how you kept up on them.
Trends from this last year.
Yeah, there's been a lot. So I know it's a loaded question, but it's crazy.
I have noticed this past year, variegated allocations have always been like a really big thing.
They popped out.
I feel like the cultivars for variegated alocasias are just going tenfold now. But variegated anthurium are making like a huge impact in the industry. Anthuriums in general, but variegated anthuriums this year for sure.
Yeah. Were you able to keep up on these trends? Like, did you find any struggles, like with obtaining these cultivars, or like what did you see? Because I went to Thailand. Oops, I don't know what happened. Oh no. hopefully she'll be right back. But going back to what she had talked about, as far as the alocasias, the variegated alocasias and the variegated anthurium, they really popped off this year. It was really awesome to see. When I first jumped into plants, I actually started with alocasia, and everyone thought I was crazy because I quickly learned that alocasia was one of the most difficult plants to take care of, and I feel like I started out with them, so I don't know, it just came a little bit more naturally. So it was really awesome to see them pop off. And then my next love is our anthurium. And so I was a natural with the anthuriums because they are quite similar with the alocasias. So seeing all of the variegated forms that have, you know, really came out the last year has been amazing. I was able to take a trip to Thailand, and I got to see some of the most beautiful and the most expensive variegated anthuriums in the world, probably. It's just, they come off, they have a yellow, a white, a pink, a speckled, a blister variegation. What happened, my love? You're back.
I was just about to text you. I was like, what happened? I don't know. I got a phone call and it kicked me out.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I was just talking to them a little bit about the anthuriums and the alocasias that came around, and that I was able to see some of the most beautiful anthuriums when I went to my Thailand trip. I think I may have been able to share some of those with you, but they had pink, like there's so many different kinds of variegation within those. And for anyone that doesn't know what variegation is, let me go ahead and give you an example really quickly. Now, this is a monstera. This isn't a variegated anthurium. Unfortunately, I don't have one to show you. But so regular monstera will have just this all green color. But when they have variegation, it is a mutation. And so this is kind of an idea. You'll see just the difference in these. And so with the anthurium, they come in so many different forms. One of my favorite is the blister form, and then when they are pink variegated. All right, Shannon, now that you should be all set up now, let's go back to our question. How were you on being able to keep up with them, with these trends? Did you have any hard times like finding these cultivars, or what are your thoughts on that?
At least on the like wholesaler side. Now I do produce, I don't always produce all the anthurium that I sell. I get them from a lot of different breeders. Variegated anthuriums are very different from other variegated plants. So you could breed two variegated anthuriums together and you might never get a variegated seed.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely have realized that finding inventory from other people for variegated anthuriums is a little bit more difficult. As for anthuriums alone, not as difficult.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
definitely stocking them in my own inventory. That is something that I feel like it's a new coming thing this year.
It is. It still is.
That if someone has variegated seeds, they're probably holding them back for their own inventory and not giving them to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the anthuriums that I was looking at in Thailand, they were like 5 to 20K.
Mm.
Yeah, so it and that's American. That's American price too, not bought. So, and I know that has gone down a little bit, but I mean the pterodactyls, the variegated pterodactyls are still selling for like $300 for like 3 leaves. So, and like mid variegation. So that's probably going to be a plant that retains its value for quite some time, and that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, what plant kept up in value this year? What are your opinions?
Anthurium.
Anthurium. Yeah,
I mean, they've always kept up in value, though. That's
They
the
really
one
have.
thing. That's the one thing in the industry I feel like, and on the market that retains value more than anything else.
Yeah, I would say. Go ahead. Sorry.
Even things like I honestly, when you asked me this question before we did the live, I was thinking about like the alocasia balloon heart. It's probably the only alocasia I've seen hold its value, but even with that, at the beginning of the year, those were like $3,000. Well, beginning of last year, you could hardly find them.
Yeah.
$3,000 for a little tiny baby. And now I feel like that's cut down by like a fourth.
Yeah, I mean, I saw someone selling like a 2-inch. She had grown it out probably from TC, probably from you know who, and she was selling it for like 900, and I was like, "Girl, what are you doing? Like, you could like, you don't need to sell it like that inexpensive. Like, that's kind of crazy." Good to know she still has that plant, so she's continuing to love it. I would definitely say like some allocations definitely kept their value, like variegated Jacqueline's, and then there's another one. Oh, the variegated Sabrina. I think that those. Yeah, we do see a lot of price undercutting in the plant industry. So we talked about this actually.
Yeah, we're gonna get into this.
Yeah, I don't know if we should. Shannon's very opinionated on this.
Should we get into that bit?
I will say it happens. It does happen
in order.
quite a bit, and this is the process. So we have people, you know, purchase their very expensive plants. They are a hobbyist. Okay, we love our hobbyists because they are the ones that are spending thousands of dollars on us a week to get our inventory and what we're able to provide. But our issue is when they are no longer loving that plant, and that's totally fine. They will often sell them for very cheap. So, you know, exactly like this. This person probably paid a few $1,000s for this alocasia balloon heart. She's no longer loving it as much as she once did, and she's just gonna let it go for whatever she possibly can, and she's gonna start really low to hopefully get it sold and you know recoup X amount of money back. So yeah, we definitely do see that. It's unfortunate, and sometimes when these hobbyists they do a purge, or you know they're offloading a lot of plants, they may kind of ruin the value of some of these because it's not just one person, it's a lot of people. So yeah, we definitely see that a lot. We definitely have opinions on that. When I sell a plant, I don't care if you resell it, just make more money off of it. I do sell with great competitive prices, and if they're going to sell it, I just ask them to mark it up, make some money for yourself, and keep the value of this plant where it should be. So yeah, we have lots of opinions on that. So I kind of think I already know the answer to this next question. What sold best in your store this year?
Anthurium.
Anthurium, baby.
Anthurium and alocasias, but you know, maybe I'm biased though, because I used to, when I started out my business, I dealt a little bit in everything. Scindapsus, pipers, rare philodendrons, and part of the learning process in starting your own business, or just in this industry in general, is that some things don't hold their value, and some things also aren't logical in a business perspective. Like for me, I don't propagate philodendrons. It's something I don't produce. If you ever see me selling them, they did not come from me reproducing them in any way. I bought them from my wholesalers. And for that reason, because they take so long. So for me, it isn't a good business decision for me to focus on something like that. For me, I started moving the last year heavily into anthurium sales, variegated alocasias. For some people that are familiar with me, my significant other is a tissue culture lab. So I do reap the benefits there on some TC allocations, which do go into my inventory. But so I'm a bit biased. I mean, that's what I do mostly, but I'm stuck with it because that's what makes me happy, what I'm passionate about, and then also what's been the best for me.
Absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what you need to do. And Anthurium is, since being in plants, I have never seen Anthurium like slow down. Like it is nonstop. They're constantly hybridizing new Anthurium. They're constantly, it's just a nonstop, and they grow quite well. I definitely wouldn't say that they are like a slow grower, at least not in my greenhouse. They are not slow growers. They're able to produce, a lot of seeds when you are able to finally be able to get it right, because I know that's a process for some people. And I really love to watch them grow. I love seedlings. That is one of my favorite things. So that's really awesome. Yeah. So Anthurium, that is the star of the show tonight. Okay, our next question, and this might be a hard one, but maybe not. What is the next upcoming plant? I definitely have my thoughts on what might be the next coming plant, but what do you think?
Man, probably new variegated allocations.
You think so?
I do think. What do you think it is?
No, I was definitely leaning towards Syndapsis and Alocasia. With the Alocasia, I'm just wondering, like, how do we cross that? How do we, keep building new different Alocasia? So we have our basic Alocasia, we've gotten our variegated Alocasia. Like, what's next?
Yeah. I mean, at least for me, and I guess again, this might be biased, but I have been in communication with some people that want to or are already breeding their own allocations. So for that purpose, like, one, you always see a new variegated alocasia come out from its normal genetics. And I feel like that's never ending. You see something where you're like, wow, I wish that was variegated, and like a month later, like, here it is.
Here it is. And it's $2,000.
I do think that what's gonna happen is that, just like you said, well, what's next? I think what's next is these people that are trying to hybridize them. Variegated Anthurium are definitely something I think are, going to show up a lot more. But the biggest trends that I've seen, and I feel like people are trying to take it to the next level, are allocations, and I mean, even the balloon heart and things like the venom. And there's people in other countries that are either finding these mutations naturally or trying to hybridize them themselves and coming up with something that nobody's ever seen before. So,
speaking of that, where do you think, like, where are they creating these allocations? Like, is it China, Thailand, Indonesia? Like, where do you think?
Isn't mason plants from like Korea?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know a lot about like the industry or what they're doing in Korea specifically, but just judging off of the simple fact of mason plants makes me think that they might be up to some things that we have no idea.
They are up to so much. Let me tell you, they are up to so much. They actually are producing a lot of the pink variegated maculata begonias. And they are purchasing all of the pink variegated maculatas in all of the country, all in Thailand, all in Indonesia. They've purchased them all, and they're growing them there, and then they're gonna redistribute them. It's really interesting. It's very interesting to see. So I'm excited what I've seen the price of the begonia go down insanely. Like earlier this year, I think I sold it for $8,000, and now we're offering them for 2.5. And so it's just, I'm like, that is just so crazy. That is one plant I really thought was going to hold its value, but with how probable it is, it's, like last year we had like 2 people in the States that had a small plant. And now I know of at least 20. So, and they're propping them all. So we're going to have them a lot more. Yeah. Okay. And so I know you'd mentioned that you definitely have people that you talk to, you kind of have your ideas. With your place in the industry, how do you keep up on these crazy plant trends? What are you doing? What resources? Well, you don't have to tell me exactly what resources, but
So, I mean, I follow all these people all over the internet from all over the world. So, I mean, there's some big names here in the US that I follow you know, casually enough, that they're probably the first couple people I see get a ridiculous plant into the United States. Sometimes I don't know about it in advance, but I'm always doing research on like what is new, what isn't here yet. And this is something that me and Rita's do frequently, just because we're always trying to stay on top of it, is seeking out people in the world that are doing things and where we can source those from every corner of the world. I follow Amazing Plants a lot. There's a lot of people in a lot of different countries that I'm always trying to stay on trend with. So I mean, they're out there. You just gotta find them. I don't want to tell you where to find them because I don't want to be the first one with it.
Who in the US do you like follow and like look up to as far as these trends?
So well, you're familiar with them. What is Ronnie's last name on?
Oh, let me look.
Yeah,
Ronnie. So yes.
I usually see Ronnie come out with things that very few people have. It always seems like he's one of the first kind of people to have them in.
Ronnie Fable the third. Ronnie Fable the third. Yeah, he's definitely a great person to keep in your pocket, have a good relationship with, and follow. Because he does have some of the most beautiful plants, and he's got a great reputation because of it. And he's stellar at what he does. I'm hoping one day we can get him live somewhere.
Oh my goodness, that'd be crazy. I mean, he's definitely someone that I have discovered some things that I did not find somewhere in other countries first, where I'm like, what is that? Like, that's nuts.
I know.
And he is someone that opens my eyes to some new trends that are coming up that I've never seen before, or new mutations. So I definitely
really wonder who is his plant plug. I want to know your plant daddy. Like, let me know.
I have some theories, but I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet.
Ritas is here. Hi, Ritas. Sorry, I got excited.
Y'all make me want to be a plant dad. Hey, anybody can do it.
Yeah, everyone can do it. You don't have to have a green thumb. You just have to keep trying. That's it. I've killed so many plants, and it doesn't even bother me anymore because if there's green, you can grow it back out. Like, I know that. I have so many plants over in this corner of my room right now that they haven't been watered in like 3 weeks. And I'm just looking at them. I'm like, they're still green. It's fine.
They're still kicking. Hey, some of these plants really do thrive on neglect, guys. So
no, they do. And honestly, all of these I plan on chopping. So I do need to give them one or two good waters, and then I'm gonna cut them bitches up. Okay. All right. So I've seen so much growth from you this last year and a half, Shannon. I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into that. So I've seen you move across the country. How many times?
3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. And
I think this is like 3rd or 4th move. Yeah.
Yes, and it's landed you in your own little slice of paradise, correct?
Say that again.
It's landed you in your own slice of paradise. You have anthuriums growing inside with no issue. You live in Florida, where it's the best place to grow in the United States. Yep. Amazing. Can you tell me what was your biggest challenge of the year?
Well, so me and Rita's talk about this a lot, and I always say that I feel like I've restarted a lot of times this year. For me to like reflect back on where I am today versus where I was a year ago is like insanity, because literally a year ago, almost like to the date, I was selling off my entire inventory, packing up my little small Volkswagen 2-door antique car, and leaving, my home of 5 years. Yeah. And where to go from there? I mean, there wasn't anything at the end of the tunnel that I could really see. I just had faith that, this is what I needed to do, and this is where I was going, and I was going to make it work. And I have restarted a lot of times. Ritas likes to say it in a different way. I don't really truly now look at it as restarting. But I've definitely had to find my way and find what works for me. And that's like a big part about this industry, that I feel like you can't just do this halfway. This is something you want to do and you really want it. You really need to do it. So I mean, I took literally every ounce of my energy and drove it directly into Royal Roots, and growing. And I had to learn along the way of what that meant for me, and in growing in what ways. And just like you said, I mean, perfect example. Plants will grow again. So just as us as people can be chopped down to nothing, but that doesn't mean that we can't flourish and thrive in our own ways when we're ready to do so. Sometimes we need to be watered a little bit more. Maybe not once or twice. Maybe it needs to be 3 or 4 times. You know what I mean? So I feel like, I mean, my biggest challenge was definitely having to remind myself that I could continue to grow in the ways that I needed to get to where I am.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. And it's truly, from an outsider's perspective, you know, we are friends. We were lucky enough to, you know, find each other. But, you know, I really resonated with you right away. And I wanted to be there for you, even though, you know, it really wasn't my place, but I don't know. I had some, you know, vibe about you, and I wanted to be there for you. And being able to watch you go through what you have and come out where you are now, it's just been so beautiful. And you know, watching your business progress, like it's been amazing. I really couldn't, you know, that's why I wanted you to be my first guest, because when this was brought up to me, I immediately thought of Shannon. Shannon. I gotta let her know. I called you right after. I called you right after, and I was like, you gotta do this. Because I know I've watched your story, and it's just unbelievable. And I really appreciated everything that you've gone through, and what you provide for everyone else. You are such a giver. You give education, you give hope, you give your all in everything that you do, and it's really beautiful to see. So this year, what were like the highlights of your year, and what were some lowlights of your year?
Highlights of my year. So as mentioned, where I say, if you really want to be in this industry, I feel like you really need to be all in. So a big thing for me this year was building connections with people from every corner of the United States. So this past year, I mean, as you know, have been taking time to go to every convention possible. I live stream them and do personal plant shopping for people, where that's opened up a door that I feel like, I don't mean to like toot my own horn, but I haven't seen very many people do this. So I'm able to bring an experience to people that they can't have on their own, because they can't afford to go to these events and see all these vendors and share the experience with everyone there. So I brought that experience to people right through your computer screen or your iPhone screen or your Android, where you get to be part of it. And in doing that, I've built relationships with people that every event I go to strengthens them even more. So for me, it was really building the community, like my own community within this community, all year long. And even after this last event, I mean, I went home with so much gratitude, where I was like, one, I can't believe that this is where I am. I do really look back in it, and it always, you know, throws me for a loop. But I went home with gratitude that the relationships I have now, I mean, I've seen these people all year at events. You know, one of the last events I went to, I was just like, this is really like what I have built here with these people. And I'm so grateful for it, because without those people, I wouldn't have been able to grow in the ways that I did. So definitely building my own community and finding like who my people are here and the ones that have helped me grow. But definitely my lows, I mean, I think that we all get a little bit lost on what we're supposed to do, where we're supposed to be. So I've definitely had to make some hard decisions throughout the year. Coming to Florida ultimately was the best decision for me. I did it for my business. I did it for myself. But in getting here, I mean, the whole journey Wasn't easy. I tried to rebuild Royal Roots out in Arizona, and I faced challenges of just not a lot of suppliers, paying a lot of money to get, plants to me, and not growing in the ways that I wanted to. So I think all the setbacks, that ultimately got me to where I am, were definitely my low points. There's been so many times that I've literally been like, I give up. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go work a 9 to 5.
I know.
Luckily, I didn't give up because I am self-sustainable here in my business today. But my lows have definitely been those times of doubting myself and doubting what I'm capable of and how far I could really take it. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I definitely resonate with a lot of that. Especially when you talk about, coming home with a lot of gratitude after these events. When the second I pack up and I leave and I'm in my car driving, I'm fucking crying because I'm just like, oh my God, all of these beautiful relationships I've been able to make. It's unbelievable. Like there are so many people that I've been able to meet at IES, at PlantCon, at reptile conventions. Like building these relationships is so amazing. And with what I do for my full-time job, I get to watch a lot of these businesses take off too. And being a player within them is really amazing. But yeah, definitely you still have those days where you're just like, fuck, shoot me in the head, let's get this over with. Like, I'm fucking done. Like, my plants are dying. This one's ugly. This one's been on the rack for fucking 3 months. Like, it's sometimes, there definitely has its rough moments. But being able to, see through those and finding the positives, like, yeah, that one might be ugly and it might look like shit, but this other one has a new leaf. Like that, like just these little things, it can make you really happy. So that's awesome. I definitely love hearing about that. I definitely love hearing about like how people feel after the conventions, because it's, those who are spending time and building these like relationships, it's definitely, it's a wear on your mental and mental, emotional, and social battery. But to keep going and like go out for those dinners that night, continue to socialize, continue to build those things. It brings us so close together. So it's really a beautiful thing. I did want to ask, because I recently went through some of these issues, and so I had to ask you, did you have any sales that were particularly hard this year, but you got through it? What did you learn? And what was the problem? I want to hear a story.
What sales were particularly hard?
Yeah, do you have any, or funny, or just like out of the ordinary, like anything?
I mean, I don't know about necessarily particularly one specific scenario. But I mean,
sure, something you've struggled with a lot within, with your sales this year,
sales.
like.
Well, yeah. So generally, I mean, and this is like definitely, I think, goes along with a question I think you have laid out for the night. But I mean, nothing specific is necessarily. It's not like I had one major moment where I'm like, wow, that was a terrible customer, terrible sale. But overall, generally, I mean, devaluing of the market. It's a big thing that I have struggled with this year, because there are hobby sellers that hop on and they bought an expensive plant that they prop up and then they want to sell it to just make $1 back. And it's becoming a norm. Deappreciating the market value of some of these rare and exotic plants is not uncommon. And you do face a lot of people on multiple platforms. I think it's everywhere that you get customers being like, well, could you run that for like this price instead? And it's like, no, I can't do that. Like, and I feel like those people, because they see it happen so frequently, where they might get a $100 plant for $50 from somebody, or even maybe less, that the biggest struggle with, just not good sales is people expecting things for a lot less, and not understanding everything that goes into what we have to do to upkeep a business like this at this level. We're not just, someone with a tiny 2x2 or 4x4 tent with no overhead and no electric costs and no, you know. So the market value going down and people just making it a little bit of a norm. I've definitely dealt with a lot of people that are like, well, I got it here for this much. And it's like, then go get it there. I don't know what to say to you. Like, and I feel like it's a stab in the heart sometimes where I definitely don't want to be unkind to people, but it does make me want to be like, well, then go get it there. Like, then you don't need to be here. And that's like a sad part of it. I don't want to like shoo away a customer, but I'm also not gonna, you know, shoot myself in the foot either. So.
Mike said, are we sure this isn't about ball pythons? Yeah, no, I know a lot of this stuff definitely is hitting the reptile industry too. I mean, I know that geckos and crested geckos have definitely, like, it's been such a slow market right now, and they're dropping value like crazy. But I wanted to ask, like, how do you think as a community of sellers, how can we combat that? Like, what do we do? Do we price them up even higher? Do we not sell to hobbyists? Like, what can we do? What can we do?
I mean, I don't have a good response to that. I mean, the only thing I can say is like to stay true to yourself and your quality. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people where you might put your plants into a low quality substrate. Where I'm using high quality nutrients and high quality substrate, you know, multi substrates, making my own substrates, not buying things in like low price bulk. I want your plants to be healthy. I give them a lot of love. So I think that like overcoming that, you know, this is the reality of our industry. It's probably a reality. I mean, I'm seeing, is this probably a reality of every industry ultimately, that somebody is going to undercut themselves. And if you believe in the quality of your product and the quality of what you're doing and what you're providing, then I mean, you just need to keep giving yourself credit for living up to that standard and not de-appreciating yourself, because I physically cannot sell people things at these lower prices that they want, or else I would lose money. And I feel like that's the part that people don't understand. Maybe you don't even have to explain it to them, but believing in the quality of what you provide and knowing that like you can go get it somewhere else, but it might not be packed as well. It might not be taken care of as well.
There's so many factors. It might come with spider mites. It might be in, you know, shit soil, or it might be in really bad moss. Like there's tons of things. Something that I kind of think of when I'm thinking of how we can continue to retain this value, and it's not really a community thing, but it's more of a, you know, each business marketing. You know, so Rare Plant Fairy as an example, she's got her branding and marketing down. So she's still selling these plants that, you know, some of us have to sell for, you know, sometimes half the price of what she's offering it for. She can still sell, like, you know, this Aria. So this Aria, for instance, she probably still has this for like $350, if not more, on her.
She doesn't waver on her prices.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. But that's what's got her to this point. And so I definitely see you standing up and, you know, staying true to your values and your prices and what you need. You are going to be the next Rare Plant Fairy.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for you. That's how we can't, maybe we can't combat this as a community, but if we can all at least, you know, like stop lowering the prices. Like don't feel guilty. Don't like feel like, oh, this has been on my shelf for 3 months. I gotta go put it on an auction for $1. No, let's not do that. Like the dollar auctions, okay, sure, we can run a couple dollar auctions, but let's not, you know, run everything as $1. You know, like that's what's ruining it for a lot of people. So unfortunately, we have to just stay true to our values.
Norm.
I don't know. Maybe you do.
I've been thinking, I know there's a lot of reptile people in here, so it does make me laugh because I see some of these reptile people like running their geckos for $1, and I'm like, I know that is not what the gecko costs. Like, no, I guess I feel like almost, I think it's in my heart, I understand.
I really think it's the excitement. They're trying to
Create a
pull
frenzy.
people in. They're trying to pull
Yeah.
people into their lives. And that's something that, obviously I've seen and I've spoke on a million times. Don't start your auctions at less than what you want for the animal or for the plant or for your art. Like, don't undercut yourself, and read the room. Read the room. If they're not buying your set price items, if your auctions that are, just under retail aren't going anywhere, let's not do a dollar auction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crickets aren't cheap, okay?
No.
Not in mass quantities.
No. So we kind of went over this a little bit, but as a business, what was your biggest challenge this year? Did we already ask that?
Kind of. We were kind of the same question.
Yeah, it's kind of, but is there anything other than what we had talked about that was a challenge, like finding wholesalers or, growing? Was there a challenge you found in growing this year? Like, obviously you definitely had challenges in Arizona where it's a completely different climate than where you are now. How did growing in Arizona differ from where you're growing now?
Well, so when I was in Arizona, I was growing in tents. So and I'm like well versed in controlled environments from my previous experience in cannabis. So I'm a pro at growing indoors. Honestly, this isn't a challenge I've experienced. This is probably a challenge I will experience. I do not know how to grow outside. I do not know how to care for these tropical plants in an outside environment, which probably sounds crazy to anybody that's at least in the chat right now that are reptile people that are unfamiliar. But there's so many elements you can't control outside.
Oh yeah.
That I can control inside. That I definitely. This is something I'm going to be doing this spring. Is shade tents and greenhouses and things of that sort that are definitely going to be a challenge for me. I'm going to have to learn and acclimate to that entire environment. But this past year, more so than some of the challenges we already spoke to is, the crazy growth of this community since live selling. Live selling, Plant Story was the first one to do it. Unless, at least for plants, unless I'm, unaware of something that came before.
Yeah, I think those were
Plant Story was the first, that made the innovative decision to bring this to your computer and phone screen, in live time, which is crazy. You're seeing more platforms pop up, which means you're seeing more sellers pop up.
Yes.
So it goes hand in hand with like staying up to your standards and your quality and your prices and staying true to yourself is, you're one of thousands. How many sellers are there on Plant Story, Palm Street alone, which is crazy. Yeah. So you're seeing more and more pop up. You're competing with people that are hobby sellers that sell things for less. And you're in this market of people that at the touch of a finger, you can go look at, 50 people live at one time. What sets you apart from these people? And it's going to continue to grow even more. More people are going to show up on these platforms. Palm Street has brought on some of the biggest greenhouses in the United States. So this is, me, self-run, business going up against the top seller on Etsy, that are providing things that, I could provide to you. It just takes a lot of readjusting to your business strategy. So,
but some things that like you have over, and I'm not going to name them. You and I both know exactly who we're talking about, but you have quality over quantity and much higher quality. Your woman-owned business, that's for one, and your small business, your solo run business. So, it really does come down to these people. Like, yes, your items might be more expensive, but it's all of these factors that come into play. Probably 7 times out of 10, they're going to order, from the other person, and they will probably end up with at least 1 or 2 refunds. Or needing a refund, like that's just kind of how it works. And I've definitely learned more about that. I think that, there will always be these big dogs. It doesn't matter where we go or what industry we jump into. But it's just, it's really about, you know, like we've said a million times tonight, stick to your values, stick to your prices, you know, brand yourself well. So people know who you are, and you will retain the customers, the clients, where these other people won't. You know, there's always someone who's going to want a cheap plant, but they're having a cheap experience. With someone like you, they're not having that type of experience.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would do differently this year in business? Is there something that you would have done differently? Something that some way you wish you would have turned rather than, you know, going the way that you went? Honestly, it looks like you've done so well for yourself this year. I don't know what you could have done differently. I mean, I feel like everything just is perfect.
Oh, I mean, there's always room for growth.
Yes, I mean, yes, obviously, but like where you've come from and where you've landed, like it's just a beautiful, you know, streamline of growth and like positivity, and like obviously there's hard times, but is there anything you wish you would have done differently?
I mean, I am a very big believer that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, you and I both.
Often enough, I mean, obviously I've considered multiple times before I went to Arizona, I was going to come here to Florida. Now I decided to do what I did. And I have asked myself, like, would it have been better had I come here, just stuck to the plan and not got detoured? And I don't agree with that. Everything that I have done in the last year has got me to where I am. And if I didn't do it that way, it's like the Mandela effect. If I did one thing different, I might not be where I am. So I never regret any step along the way, because whether it was hard or, you know, defeating or ultimately the wrong decision, I mean, it wouldn't have panned out this way. So I don't regret any of it. I wouldn't do anything different. Obviously, I wish situations had panned out different, but ultimately, I mean, every bit of it got me here. So I can't complain.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I definitely, yeah. I mean, we've talked about this so many times. You know, you and I both are huge believers in everything happens for a reason. We kind of always make the right moves. You and I both are very instinctual, if that's a word. You know, we follow our instincts, we follow our guts. Like we kind of know, we're confident in what our body and our mind is telling us. So I think that's really awesome. I'm happy to know that you feel no regrets on what you've accomplished this year. Like I've said a million times, it's been, you know, beautiful to watch, and I am so excited for the upcoming year, and watching you and watching Ritas grow, and many of the other sellers that I'm, you know, close with. It's been really awesome, and even seeing some of the up and coming sellers. You know, I know we hate our hobby sellers, but no, I'm kidding. But you know,
They're listening.
We all start somewhere. We definitely all start somewhere. And so watching them be able to grow. I mean, throughout the last year, I've seen people go from a 40 count inventory to they're building greenhouses. So, I mean, it's beautiful. And I'm very excited to continue watching that and see what you and Ritas can pull out of your asses this year. It's going to be awesome. Do you have any advice for someone looking to get into this hobby? And so this is probably a really good conversation to have with the audience that we currently have right now. So think back to when you first started into plants. What were your struggles? What you know, really helped you? Is there anything that, you know, just kind of made things click, or what was your, you know, your moment of like, oh man, I can really do this, you know?
My biggest piece of advice always, I've said this since the beginning, even working in the cannabis industry, I mean, things happen. These are living organisms. We're not always in control. So being willing and ready and accepting to kill a plant. You don't know what you're doing when you first start out. A lot of people get into I want this allocation, this philodendron, this anthurium, and they all require a little bit different care, and love and lighting and all that. And you know, people get ahead of themselves. They jump into this hobby, they buy a bunch of expensive plants and they kill them and they get really upset about it. So pacing yourself, I mean, taking it slow to learn like how to do this. But if you are going to go very aggressively into this hobby, be willing to fail. I mean, that's the only way that we grow. I still kill plants. You know, you said, you know, these plants need to be watered. I mean, it happens. It's sometimes it's out of our control. Sometimes it's environmental factors. Sometimes you just forget. Even the best growers are going to make mistakes. So being willing to make those mistakes and learn from them is the only way that you can ultimately grow.
Where do you think that these new sellers should go and purchase their plant? And what are some plants that you think would be a good idea for, you know, maybe the people that are watching, something like a house plant that they can purchase, and where should they purchase it?
Like an easygoing beginner plant?
Yeah, just literally anything, like an easy philodendron, or, you know, a basket plant, like, or, you know, pothos, I guess. Like,
pothos are definitely easy. I mean, anything common philodendrons. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend an alocasia for someone that's new, but I urge people to challenge themselves. I feel like people get a little bit nervous over the care of plants and thinking they can't provide. And a lot of these plants can acclimate to your own environment. But where to buy them? I mean, reliable sources. Live selling platforms are very popular now. Etsy, I mean, has some of the greatest sellers. To look at your reviews of who you're buying from that are reputable enough, that you can actually go and have a track record of their sales and what people have experienced with them. But there's tons of people. I don't have just one. I think that people really need to do their research on who they're buying from. But
in other words, don't buy from Home Depot. Don't buy from Walmart. Don't buy from
buy from somebody that is doing this as a passion. Mass producing anything, in my opinion, just takes away from the authenticity and the care for those plants.
Yes, the Home Depot equals Petco. Okay, guys, let's just get all of that. Let's get that down. Don't buy your plants, and don't buy your freaking tissue cultures at Petco. Okay, they're in Petco now. Rita, did you hear that? Petco has freaking tissue cultures.
He's trying to get in with Petco.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you at least have to have good instructions. I was reading them the other day and I was like, oh my God, people are gonna open this thing up and die. Like, it's just gonna die right away. It had no instructions. It was just like, take it out and put it in your aquarium. And I was like, what? Like, that is not the way. So yeah, like, let's not purchase our new plants from Home Depot, from Petco, from Lowe's, Walmart, Herp. Let's stay away from that. I definitely would suggest, if you guys see the banner, we have Palm Street, we have Whatnot, we have District, we have Plant Purge USA. That is a group on Facebook. Was there another one? There's Blossom, there's Monstera X, Etsy. You know, there's really some great people on Etsy. Just, yeah, like Shannon said, look at the reviews. That's where I got my first TC. Yeah. Yeah. Aquatics. Yeah. They're for, like, I don't know. They're for.
It was a test run.
It was odd. I couldn't believe I saw it. It was like, I don't even know what kind of plant it was because I didn't recognize it. It was obviously an aquatic plant, but you should never just like, I was like, oh my God.
I did see recently, well, it wasn't Petco, but it was the Tractor Supply, like, Pet Sense, that started out with, like, little cacti lines for reptiles. We could do that. How do we get in there?
You probably could just email Petco and try to order suppliers. I used to do that for Toltec. I was, talking to Heb, I was talking to Kroger's, I was talking everywhere to try to get her plants into these places. So yeah, just call them. But yeah, that would definitely be really cool. Just make sure you have your fucking instructions, Regis. Like, we cannot let people put these freaking brand new plants into dirty fish water or their enclosures. We just can't do that. For some plants that I think you guys should definitely try out, like Shannon said, the pothos, monstera, syndapsis, philodendron, like hanging baskets or philodendrons, possibly Hoya. Hoya can be drought resistant. I know everyone kills their succulents, but succulents are good. Just don't fucking water it, please, and then we should be good.
The cactus thrives on neglect.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of things. Just, the main things you need to get down is making sure that you have good soil or a good media. I don't use soil for any of my plants. I use a moss mix, but that's just my personal, preference. I do a lot of imports too, so that's just kind of the way it goes. But making sure you have a good aeroid mix, knowing what kind of plants you have and what kind of media soil mix that they should be provided. And don't overwater them. Don't water them every day. I can go a week and a half without watering my plants and they're just fine. Sometimes even longer, depending on the humidity. Okay, we're getting close on time now. So what is, do you have any tips for someone inspiring to be a plant seller as well?
Don't know. Just kidding. Market value. Understand the market value. There is a really good source called plantshark.io where even if you're a buyer, if you want to know that you're buying a plant within the range of market value, it goes and scans every single listing all over the internet, and it even gives you a whole feed of like where things are listed at what prices, and it'll give you an average range of what the market value for that plant is, which I think is really great because you're going to see lower end price and you're going to see higher end, and it kind of meets in the middle where it tells you like this is what you should on average be paying for this specific plant. There are a lot of plants that are not listed. I think this is a little bit of a newer database. But they're being added every day. So understanding the market value and knowing that like this is a community. So what one person does can have an effect on somebody else. Going in, tanking prices and selling, mass amounts of things for a lower value are going to have people that come and think that that is the price that they should be paying. And it affects all of us as a community and as a whole. So my biggest bit of advice, have an understanding of market value. Definitely do not be afraid to like put yourself out there and make connections with people. That's going to be your strongest thing in this industry, but to be wary of who you're making your connections with because this industry is very small. So you do one thing in this industry, someone is going to know about it. And if it is not a good thing, you will be shunned a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same, we got drama. We got drama for days, just like the reptile industry, just like the art industry, just like the crystal industry. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We got drama for days. There's definitely cliques. There's definitely like the top 5 people or 10 people. So we definitely have all of that. But yeah, making connections, making sure that you are pricing things correctly to help the community or keep the community healthy rather than devaluing it is definitely important. Before we go, Shannon, what is your favorite plant? Can you show us your favorite plant?
Oh, I was waiting. So I started working with, I wouldn't say he's a new and upcoming breeder in the industry because he has been doing it for a while, but he is new to the public. Probably in like the last, I would say about a year. Planting Nurse Hunter. You can find him on Palm Tree. I think that's the only place that he streams, but you can find him on Instagram as well. I work with him for wholesale, but I collect all of his crosses. And honestly, his crosses are absolutely some of my favorites. So I pulled out one of his crosses. Naturally, it's an anthurium. I'm biased, you guys. but this one is a dark crystal cross by Planty Nurse Hunter that I've been growing from a little baby. Cross with Pap, cross with Tim Anderson Longleaf. He does the best, like super dark velvet, really, really high
so
quality
beautiful
anthuriums. So everything from him is my favorite, but this is one of my current big baby favorites. That
the veining on that is stunning.
Yeah, it is, and she is so dark. I feel like the lights in here never do it really good justice, but anything from him that is dark and velvet is my favorite, but this has been the winner. And then I do have, I believe it's Burglar House Horticulture. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
I do have one of the snake oils by them that I'm absolutely in love with. So we were talking about variegated anthuriums.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to get my hands on one that was sold to me as a seedling that was not supposed to be variegated, but like I said, some of these seedlings, you don't know if they're gonna show you variegation. So she's like my prized possession right now.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So yeah, you guys got to see an anthurium and a variegated anthurium. We should have had like a shots game going on for all of you guys on how many times we say the word anthurium. You guys could take a drink. You would be wasted right now. But yeah, anthurium was our hot word today, our hot plant today. But thank you so much, Shannon, for being on here, taking the time, explaining to us the industry and, your part in the industry, and just, really explaining some of the times on how you got here and got to where you are. So yeah, I'm so happy and so thankful, and just honored for you to be my first guest on the show, honestly. It's just been awesome. So thank you so much. Everyone, please make sure to follow Shannon everywhere: Palm Street, Whatnot, District, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Give her a follow, and if you want some great quality plants, go ahead and check her out. Thank you.
Shannon.
Okay, bye. All right. Thank you guys for hanging in there, enjoying the show. Please take a second right now and drop in the comments something you want to learn about plants for our next show. I do want to definitely come back and go back to the basics with you guys, do some education, but I need to know a little bit more on where you guys are starting. What plants are you familiar with? What plants do you like to grow currently? What are you using them for? Are you using them for an aquatic, an aquatic setup? Are you just growing them in your house like I am? Are you using them for decor? Are you using them for your reptiles? Let me know so I can better help you. I'm very excited for this opportunity and to be able to have a podcast under Herp Networks. I'm very, very, very excited to keep going. You guys should see me every other week. Be sure to give me a follow on Instagram. I'm also a seller on Palm Street, and I also have a Facebook, but I am exclusive to Palm Street, so definitely check me out there. If you guys want some planties, I'm more than happy to help out. If you have any questions on something you're currently growing or something you want to grow, let me know. Hit me up on Instagram, on Palm Street, on Facebook, and I will get you set up. But thank you guys so much. It's been wonderful. Until next time.
Still step into the space where the roots run deep, where the sun meets the soil and the stories speak. Every leaf, every bloom got a tale to tell, from the lows in the dirt to the highs that swell. This is Grow House, yeah, we flourish and thrive, planting seeds of change, keeping dreams alive. It's more than just green, it's the life we create, breaking through the cracks, let's elevate. Grow strong, grow tall, grow now, grow all. Grow strong, grow tall, grow now, grow all. Grow strong, grow tall, grow now, grow all. Welcome to Grow House. We grow, we grow. grow strong.